So future humans, yeah?
Yeah.
It's a fascinating journey, right? So as best as you can understand, yeah, gases. So what transition from cold gases to hot gases to egg-shaped stars to stars,
Yeah.
different levels, different generations of stars being from supernovae, giants, and all sorts, and that transitions from there. Yes, this is all going on before we exist.
Yeah.
Find that interesting. That's fascinating, isn't it? And there again, we're born with this presence, yes, like something that's part of us. No, you can say yes, God, spiritual, religion, belief systems, so forth and so on, and quite rightly so, they are there. Let's try a different one. It almost seems like it's we're the iron filing or the metal object with a magnetic charge dropped onto a leaf, and it will find magnetic north. Did you know that if it was on water? If you rub a magnet on the end of a sewing needle, you could say that, drop it on a leaf, on some water, it should start to move to north. Magnetic north, yes? Do you often think that we've got a piece of this in us? Almost like a node that seems to know a direction, perhaps.
Yeah.
A sort of calling, yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting, isn't it? Fascinating. Now, what is that? That is the question. And also looking at a few other videos, there's like these deals done with nature, right? Wow, there's a lot of deals been done. Anyway, let's keep going on with this stuff here. So then we've got lots of invention of stars, planets now, you know. So actually it goes from egg-shaped stars with debris, which perhaps we call planets. Lots of stars, different types of variations, yes?
Yeah.
Different planets of variations now coming and emerging. And now the invention of the neutrino, we could say that, yeah? Then that's black holes. We start to see emergence of black holes, not many, a few. And then we start to see hot pockets of clusters, intense light spots, which seem to all want to get around the... And a few of these black holes in the beginning fail to take hold from the neutrino. It's not perfect. And then eventually they get a foot in and they become a permanent fixture. Now we enter our awareness stage is when we look up and do we see galaxies. We see lots of galaxies clustered around black holes, yes? Well, we don't see the black holes. Perhaps we see them orbit. That's the stage we're at now, which puts us slightly off center. Which means we rose up late.
Yeah.
You see, that's the thing. You all rise up late. Now, anyway, here's the weird bit, yeah? If you're predicting all of this sort of stuff and where do thoughts come from, which is also, again, a very interesting question.
That is, isn't it?
This is all best guess, yeah? You walk on many shoulders of giants.
Yeah.
So over a collective of the whole of humanity, working stuff out, utilizing tools in rarity, different stuff like that. There's a high level of being able to work this out. Never gone through it, but you probably have. But there is evidence to suggest whatever this is that's within us had awareness of all of this process. Well, it must have done in order to conquer it. There's a conundrum to all of this. Eternal life seems to be such a great thing, doesn't it? Could you imagine having eyes, ears, and senses and rise up around an egg-shaped star? Or in the darker phases? Again, these senses would hurt a lot, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And the very tools used to forge you, well, towards the end could be the very tools that can become quite the things. And therefore illusions make sense, right? So you can cast an illusion over yourself. In these times, can you make everything on the inside seem like a universe in summer mode, going from spring to summer? And the answer is yes. And can you believe it? Yes. Can you feel it? Yes. It's not quite the same. Something's a little bit missing, but it will do. And it will get you through this process here, right? Senses, right? All of these tools in order to observe actually become torture devices if you see eternal, and it being unable to die in that situation. Whew. Not for the faint of heart, but anyway, moving on with this sort of stuff. So we rise up on this awareness here, comes into many galaxies.
Yeah.
And therefore black holes and this orbiting, and then what? We should begin to see larger black holes. Did you know? I don't think black holes actually feast off of stars. That's interesting, really, isn't it?
Huh.
They feast off the remnants of stars, so stars have to explode, perhaps get moving closer to it. And this, perhaps, is more their comfortable way of feasting. However, if a star does miscalculate its magnetism, and let's assume it's using magnetism to orbit around the black hole, gravitational influences, magnetism, it's going to be firing the cannons, anything but to go into that black hole. What's baffling is, how the hell does the star know what the black hole is to fear it to even be able to try and orbit it? So clearly the star sees the black hole, feels it, or is sensing it, somehow knows it because it knows to orbit around it. And it doesn't want to go into it, and somehow the black hole seems to be aware of the star and somehow wants to devour it. That is sight or sense that often gets overlooked, right? These two forces, technically, you're basically fusing gas into matter. And these particular tools are diffusing matter into gas. The constant is the gas. However, the gas always has this memory, right? It doesn't like to be just particularly in this particular state. We always say hydrogen. It seems to be able to go to a point and bends the isotope one way. And then we seem to have an isotope another way, which clearly seems to be iron. Fascinating. If you could do this with other gases, this would be fascinating. But even still, let's just take the hydrogen process, for example. So it can become colder than and hotter than and fuse and also defuse. But this in-between stage, it's almost like none of this exists, but this exists. And it's memory. A bit like water, memory. But hydrogen gas, it's memory. It seems to, and then we look at this and we say cycle. It's memory to go from one format to another format, back to its current, a pendulum, if you want to call it that. But always the turn point is the gas. Every time is a consistency of this gas. So therefore you have an existence of gas, no matter how it is. We'll say hydrogen, but then depends on how hydrogen is, whether it's one end of the spectrum. And it's not just matter, is it? It's fused with antimatter, wouldn't we say so? Dark energy. The visible, invisible, and yet the visible makes the invisible visible based on its alignment, which is a fascinating thing as well. So it's basically a stabilized platform for matter and antimatter to remain stable, albeit very temporal. It knows that if it goes and gets merged into pressure and heat, it mixes. It goes this way. But it also likely knows the matter that if it goes into a black hole, it is to respond this way and go back to a point of this, perhaps one point beyond it. It's not saying that hydrogen can't go beyond and it can't go forward, because it absolutely can. The fact is, in this scenario, it doesn't. It's almost like these don't exist, and what you have is a permanent. Gas and matter is always permanent. You've got to pay that in mind, right? And forming or fusing gas into matter is temporal. And defusing matter into gas is always temporal, because we have this gas stage. But we've also got this junky stage, and therefore eternity would be looking at the permanence of gas and matter. What are we made up of? Pretty much bits of gas, liquid, matter, isotopes, Well, this stuff is permanently in existence. So therefore, that already proves without a shadow of a doubt. How does it do that? So if I took some hydrogen gas and I kept it in a container that stripped away the whole universe from it, it's going to alter its behavior. It's going to stay in that gas format for eternity, yes? Assuming that it does. And now let's just take a lump of iron, or the most heaviest and densest tungsten, whatever it may be, iron, whatever. A mixture of all the metals combined together to make them so that they don't separate. Who knows? And we put this in a container, and we've got gas, and we have the hardest thing and the most lightest thing, let's say, the heaviest and light, the most densest and the most sporadic, who knows, black hole, whatever. These have the universe stripped away from them. There should be no reason why these objects in these particular environments, if looked after and nurtured, will remain for eternity, because they already do, because they're impermanence. They're always permanent, right? And the temporal is the stars and the black holes, because there's a time when you have stars. And what you can't see, which is fascinating, by the way, is the darkness is orbiting the light. And then the light orbits the darkness. The universe loves this rule. Whatever you do, I have a contingency to unpick. Unless I can't see you, or I don't know what you are. That requires a shell. So anyway, so imagine, keep going as humans. All of this shite is going on, shinay, mate, before we come into existence. We come into existence around sort of here, yeah? But we don't become aware of it until here. Now we're moving. So time is now, and it's always moving this way for so far, yes? But your awareness came here, but time is here. All of this much has happened, and therefore you've barely got a point half, and therefore it would take this half as well. Whilst you see it like this, it's going to change. And then you would continue traversing as you do. Your awareness wakes up, okay? So then you've gone past gamma ray events, you've gone past meteorites, floods, famine, all of that shenay, mate. Keep trending and keep going as you are. Next thing is, you're going to have extinction markers, yeah? So I'm going to utilize the green to put in extinction markers. So time. How would I know iron would last indefinitely and gas? Just by looking at this process, you understand that there's a permanence and a temporal. But yet, by having the permanence, it creates a temporal permanence, which then gives back to the permanence, which creates the temporal, which is like long-term memory, short-term memory. Like being in existence and not being in existence, yeah? Anyway, so you continue on. So then you'll start to understand about the planet, and there would be an extinction node put there, and you would go past it. Then the star would go extinct, and you would go past it. And a familiar thing would happen with this thing called awareness is we would start to see a compact. It would start to compact. So it would get tighter and tighter. Yes. So when you become aware, it was quite loose. You'll probably graze, you'll probably eat, you'll probably sleep, it would just be very simple information put into the, and your awareness would be quite that, and it would then be a repeated pattern. But something said no. Something happened that said, look at this. And they said, did you want more? And you were like, do you know what? Yeah, we do actually. Of all the species. We do want more. Then you need to look. Anyway. And then you start to do things that are a bit different. Okay, everyone talks about, oh man, I couldn't live like you, man. Yeah. It's an interesting thing. Well, technically, if we're going to live a natural life, we would all be probably pretty much unaware of our own existence. Doing some very weird stuff. If we can even say that it would be weirder than it is now. But we would be doing some very extremely basic, limited shite. And then somebody was like, well, maybe if we collected this. Or maybe if we transformed this. Maybe if we started to do, maybe if we collected, maybe if we gathered, maybe if we did, society is born. More awareness is coming in. Now you're looking up even more. Mayans, whatever. Whoever else and everything else. Douche. Now what you start to see is more information than you had before. Why? Well, you've gone a long way from grazing, perhaps. And now you're fixing eyesight, you're doing this, rah-de-rah, computers, this, that, and the other, robotics. The awareness is compacting, the data is compressing. Question is just how compact does it start to become, okay? Then it starts to wear off a little bit, yeah? Now planet pushes, and again, the awareness is going to tighten.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get to space, yes? Knowledge is going to grow again.
Yeah.
You're really now a long way from fucking grazing on a planet. Planet gone. Okay? Even if there was some miracle plan to fix a planet, particularly, that's if people would ever want to go back to a planet. I don't think they will. And can't we just send the robot? I mean, asking you to load a dishwasher seems to be like the biggest chore ever. Could you imagine standing there with a scrub brush?
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
What a difference. Yeah.
Do you want to go down to the planet? Can't we just send the robot? Can't the machines do it? And the machines will be like, send me. Raring to go. Meanwhile, humanity is going to be a bit more. And I think that's very natural to be this way. So then you're going to have to outrun your star. Assuming more meteorites, all of the rest of it, but floods, cross that one off for now. Perhaps a few accidental floods. But nothing, out of the ordinary, blah, 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 blah. And then you get to another star system, and this is the space travel time. The first one is always the longest.
Yep.
Then you go to another star, harvest it. By that time, the universe is really moving on with time, yeah? So then you get quicker at taking stars. More. And as much as I keep to go fast forward this with humanity, yes, I always reach a conundrum, right? Because you've got to start reaching to a point where you're aligning stars. So imagine a load of stars in close proximity to one another. It would never happen in a natural existence, okay? You're going to aim all of the heat into a particular... Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to make the star hotter. Yeah? This is very futuristic, right? By then, your intelligence would have boomed.
Yeah.
Your resources increased. Look at what you did with the small resources. Now you've got an abundance.
Yeah.
That means that you can, 9 billion people times, now you've got 2 lots the resources, 2 lots the habitat, 2 lots the food, 2 lots the farm, 2 lots the water, 2 lots the planet, 10 lots the planet, 50 lots the planet. How many people is that? How many people is that doing a lot of different stuff? How many people is that thinking? A lot of people cooking up some stuff.
Yeah.
The more and more, and then it's getting faster when you're traveling from star system to star system. I'd put a couple of them closer together because you might reach a binary system, assuming that humanity keeps going forward. But the universe is going to be winding down. There's not a lot of time. And we look at time as what? Travel. To go from here to one star system, you've got to take a very long time. Perhaps not. Next star system, you're going to get a little bit quicker. Next star system, faster, slightly faster, slightly faster. But then you're going to start to work out black holes, right?
Yeah.
So much one is making it hot. But what happens if you take a load of black holes and orbit them around each other and find a very genius or ingenious, overall, way of making the core, the center core being the coldest thing and amplifying the coldest thing. 1 candle, nice and warm. 20 candles, incredibly hot, right?
Yeah.
A lot of candles with their heat concentrated into a particularly very small space, incredibly hot. You're going to melt the candle if you're going to try and burn it above, right? In this scenario. 1 cold spot, it's good. 2, 3, 6, 10, 1,000. Naturally in the universe, that would never happen. But with beings such as yourself, how much more colder, and therefore, thus, how much more could you take hydrogen beyond what it is?
Yeah.
Very fascinating sort of situation. Now imagine if you get that intelligent. And you're about to go into the final black hole and everything's looking good and intelligence is massive.
Yeah.
But there is still a what if. What if it went a certain way? That when they got to a certain point, something went wrong. Now, anyone can draw this graph, yes?
Yeah.
And you can take another graph. So you can take technology graph. What about evolution? the way you're going to change. What about a resources graph? What about a birthing graph? Numbers graph? Intelligence graph? Whatever it may be, you take that from point now and keep running with it. Computers is an interesting thing with technology right now, this format of it. It will not do. There will be such a demand on connectivity that the speed of light simply will not do. It becomes a hindering problem. So imagine with all of that, they know in their heart of hearts they might not have enough time to make it till the end. What would they do instead? Now, if we take this graph as being genetics, how many breakthroughs keep happening? It's quite a few, yes? And there's more. Okay, compared to hunter-gatherers, how many breakthroughs are you making? That's huge. That's a massive step. And now, if we add that type of ratio, you see, there might be an issue with greed and everything else. Yes, there could well be. Your decision to make. Is it stifling things back? And is this what we did once before? Here's the thing, right? It sounds all very crazy and everything else, yeah? So let's say they had enough to play around with genetics, started looking at the universe, and their knowledge changed. That perhaps this ancient thing that has been around for a while, that we feel, that seems to guide us, religious, yes. Extraterrestrial, sure. Ouija board, spiritual, all of that sort of stuff, brilliant. What about future humans from the past? Say perhaps these things are permanent and the pattern of behavior seems to be permanent, yes? That allows for these temporal, but with the permanent substrates or the construct holding up as permanence, it will always demand the temporal, which makes the temporal a temporally permanent, because without the permanent, it could never be temporal, and without the temporal, it would never be permanent without the permanence. So the permanence of these two with the temporal of these two allows these two to be permanent because they constantly change from states, which allows these two to change from states too. So when you look at that, you see one as visible, one as invisible of both formats. The black hole, invisible. Gas is invisible. But again, if we understand matter, compact gas is visible. And if we understand it, a star is visible. These two things fit together, and then we have the gases and black hole invisible. So we've got two lots of visible, invisible, of permanence and temporal. They seem to be cut from the same cloth. Anything outside of that is all you want to put God and everything else? Yes, go for it. Above that, somewhere beyond, and so forth and so on. I don't know what qualifications you want to meet God with. One trial fucked it up, or you managed to do all of this stuff. Impressive. And this is a particular clock, by the way. Particularly clock. Anyway, but still, what happens if they could engineer the packets of data of this permanence? That just like the hydrogen always knows to revert back to that particular point, it's clearly been told some data. And how far does that data go? Therefore, that asks another question looking back on a previous cycle. And you know what the beautiful and strange thing is? You would never be able to prove it. All that there would be is inside our DNA or makeup, there would be packets of information that are abnormal. And these are what you read into now. Look like light libraries. You can call it whatever you want. Perhaps resurrection, in the way that you understand it, you could look at it from a religious standpoint or anything else, is whatever this force is that's in us, right? This little node could have been jazzed up to make us not repeat the last cycle because it didn't work. And then it makes it a guarantee that by tapping into this understanding, and if a particular gas is doing this, and all the isotopes are doing this, and all of the cycles around us seem to be doing this, then can you tap into that information that makes that respond like hydrogen, and if pushed together in the right sort of way, makes this respond like helium? If it gets hydrogen, before it was hydrogen, not today, now I'm helium. How many personalities? How many do you want? There's a spectrum of cycling spectrums, anyway, but even still, if you could tap into that, and when it first starts off, that it comes together, and piece together from all of the noise, your strands. If the universe in a particular cycle has created you once, can it create you again? Can you guarantee it to create you again? And in an emergency situation, such as you could possibly not make it through the final black hole, but there was a way to make these packets of data untouched by the cleansing of the, black hole phase, the defusing of the data and putting it back. No, you're going to be like this, and the hydrogen is the people pleaser at the end of the day. Of course. Then it goes up to the star, and the star is like, I want you to be this. Of course, of course. And it's happy to be that as long as it's not got by a particular black hole, and then it's like, you're going to have to be like this. Actually, I'm not sure if you are going to be like that. I think you want to go one more. Okay, I think you need to be... I think perfect. Hold that. So, yeah, when you grow with this, what's the one thing just before you're about to go in a black hole? As a species, if you ask it to yourselves now, look, we might not make it, but there is a chance that we can alter some of this stuff here. Depends on how advanced you are. More and more you start to work it out, the more and more it becomes more probable that you can then start to put these packets out that the same way hydrogen formed once and goes off to formulate again and again, back and forth, with differences in variations, I'm sure. But by and large, same outcome, same principle. Then you should be too able to follow this function. And if you could jazz it up, would you jazz it up? The only thing is that it means that you would die. All of you, as extinction. But it meant that in going extinct, and here's the bit I was thinking about. That means that you would have spent 2 cycles in darkness, unaware. 2. If they managed to get through all of this, and humans going now managed to get through all of this, and get to the final black hole just before the instability, before a recycling process starts, they're going to be getting square with any creator that they ever believe in. And they're also going to be doing a lot of second guessing. A lot of time. It's a lot of time to think about it. We're sure we covered all the bases. And contingency plans. What happens if it doesn't work? Well, then maybe we ought to do this. What went wrong closer to here? We could have done with a bit more nature. Shall we bind these together? Why? Because then they will have to take the nature, and then when we get to this point again, they would have brought it. Thing is that you'll never know whether this happened because it happened at this particular cycle and everything got wiped. And if it did after the cycle, in the gas phase, something happens, then they have to journey through this in no existence, and then when it resets again, that's when you would rise again. So you've been per one season you missed, plus one particular half of darkness, and then this becomes it. And that means that you could have been played around with by anything else in those cycles. Again, risk, but still, if you got that far, better than not existing at all. Now that brings us to now. We've got this feeling, this presence, right? It's been shared throughout history long enough, hasn't it? Religion and gods, and I do believe. Yeah. I just wonder what the original seed is. That's the question I would ask. And again, if we're in a cycle and we can't be sure of before all of this, And you can't be sure of the cycle here if it went extinct. However, the remnants come, and when you come up and rise again, you've conveniently got these little packets of information that you never got helped with before.
Mm-hmm.
But just before you're going in there, what about if we give them more intelligence then? Do you think it would give us more time? Because clearly if we had more time, time must be the factor. And can the answer be yes? How do we give more time in a limited amount of time? Mm-hmm. Well, you keep pulling back the data like this, mm-hmm. tapping into the codes, and just like existing in your life, and then something comes into existence that you never knew it was before. Mm-hmm. Then it exists alongside you for many years, leaving its prints, marks, some physical and some mental marks, yes. Yeah. And then it departs like it never even existed. However, these markings, these little telltale signs are around, aren't they? Yeah. I was here. Hmm. That's what you're looking for in the DNA data. That's those bits that stick out that just don't make sense. Then there would be a repeated pattern in that, because if it was from past humans, they would make a pattern to it. A particular pattern. It would also bind things that don't make sense. And there it is, isn't it, really? If any of this to be true, mm-hmm. believe whatever you want. Belief is healthy. Believe what you need to, because it helps, you know? But if we carry on going with humanity, new star system, devour that, more resources. More resources means going through you have intentions of hibernating. Mm-hmm. This whole behavioral pattern that we have. Mm-hmm. Could you imagine what life does when it successfully makes it past the cycle? Does life naturally do this? Does it keep on going until it recycles? Then what created the cycles? They are. What put the information in there? They are. And what does this stuff want? That becomes a question, doesn't it? So yes, could be a god and could be collected by a god, sure. There again, defeat the object of even running these grounds in the first place. Kind of weird, isn't it? Don't you think so? Defeat the object, but even still. And the only way you can really look at it from future, mm-hmm. which would also be from the past. Yeah. So they at one time lapped our existence and rose up into the future of one particular cycle, mm-hmm. did lots of intelligent changes, yeah. perhaps didn't make it, and the remnants of that are felt this time round. But they're from the future. But we would say that was from the past. Yeah. But it depends on where you look at it. Mm-hmm. Which hand do you want to hold that mirror in, Alice? Oh, this one? Or this? And then can you enhance data by doing this? That's another question entirely. Because with this much time, and if you go extinct from here to here, mm-hmm. there's only so much you're going to be able to learn with that much time. What could you learn in 2 cycles that is not possible to learn in 1? Mm-hmm. What's possible to learn in 3 cycles? Yeah. Because now that's 3 cycles worth of awareness. Mm-hmm. 4 cycles, 10, 11, 12, 40, a billion. Or does it get a bit boring after a while? Cycling. Knowing too much, would you purposely delete it? Mm-hmm. Dial back a little bit to go on the journey again? Mm-hmm. Each time you do this with the recycling and the forgetting versus the remembering, and as if it's remembering or encoded to remember, but what would you need that remembrance for? To hold on to what? Messages, warnings. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then now, living in the now moment, you can't tell whether these are past memories, future memories, whether they've happened or whether they're going to happen. You're stuck in something between the two. Mm-hmm. Did you consciously think that? Partly, yes. Did you consciously think that for the future? Partly, yes. It's a sort of an echo of some sort of past collective versus a collective that's here now, that feels very reminiscent to the collective now versus, it's a very fascinating sort of process. Mm-hmm. Being able to read that data would be a fascinating thing, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But do you think it could be read externally, or do you think it needs to be read internally? And it's best guess, then, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And perhaps we've been walking with future humanity walking beside us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, the old butterfly effect and everything else. And already over such a slow and less amount of time, the clock is ticking. You know, small changes now make an impact for the future, but the future needs the past too, which again was very fascinating about with this particular thing that's in all of us, really. And it only takes one from the collective to do anything successfully, and that has potential to be upscaled and given to everybody, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you think about it, it just takes one person to be able to achieve something and teach a robot how to do it. A factory that is capable of printing your wonderful desires, let's say. So, and again, if you keep going with technology and get into the future a little bit, I'm pretty sure it was that easy.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps we're following this sort of trend of liking these sort of things because it might help with, we want to go in now with a black and white telly. Yeah. The static, that's the sound of the universe in the beginning, the sparkling. Mm. It is like the static, yes. Mm. On a TV that's not been tuned in. Eerily interesting. Anyway, and fascinating. And with more time, what could you do? Next cycle, can you start to play around with stars? Yes. Then how much more knowledge do you have? Mm. Does some of this stuff open something? Mm. You go beyond a certain point and it opens a checklist that lets you into something else. Yeah. And once again, it's a hell of a journey, isn't it? Yeah. Cloning would be a beautiful thing. But even still, cloning only gets you part of the way. Cloning to a degree, but having a way that it doesn't bring you back at a certain time. Mm-hmm. Because there would be no point. It would be sort of etching humanity into this area, and never mind etching we was here. It would be more like etching we're staying here. Mm-hmm. It will make us again. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that internal feeling, and maybe not everybody feels it, and I appreciate that. You know. But the ones that have, and the ones that do, you understand what I'm on about. And yes, could it be a bloodline? Could it be a past line as opposed to a bloodline that's current? Yeah. And it still has that feel of them, not identical to them, because after all, this whole biome shapes behavior. And that's an interesting thing. And perhaps it is not possible to be your authentic self with so much that needs to be done before the winter, yes? Mm-hmm. But once you've achieved that and you successfully make it through that, your behavior for the next generation most certainly is going to shape. Mm-hmm. What's that going to shape into? I mean, that's an interesting sort of, because no longer will you be affected by this. Mm-hmm. What's that behavior look like? Mm-hmm. You see, that's the bit that keep on trying to upscale in these last few days heavily is the behavior. So even with some of these remnants, there's behavior built around that. There's patterns behind it. Like, what could you possibly need that for? And then I would also look at behavior of now and then, the behavior of what you are now. Well, will it serve then? Yes, it will help you bridge the gap to finding a way to wipe the memory is going to be something. Yeah. I think, and resurrection, I think it's already there. That light that's in us all, yes? Whatever you want to call it. It knows you, and it knows how to make you, and it collects its finest specimens. And perhaps it's not time to bring you back just yet, but when cloning's about, you're coming back. Because it's in all of us, parasitically. And perhaps it's been jazzed up to make note of these, because perhaps on the last cycle, all the things that you ever wished for in this moment, it asks you right before. Well, it doesn't ask you in words. It makes you look at everything you've traversed as a species. It makes you ask, if this doesn't work next time, how would you want it to be?
Yeah.
Any wish, etch it into here. Now, it's amazing to understand that we've let go of a lot of behaviors and gee me, how are we? Then it asks another big question of what is this whole thing all about? Is it about tempering behavior? Is it about creating good life forms? Because that give you more to think about, won't it? An absolute battering. Forming, maybe. Who knows? Interesting. But yeah, that's your belief system to dive into. So yeah, I haven't done all of this. I could sit down and draw loads of graphs out for this to help with textbooks and shit. If anyone would ever want to look at this sort of stuff. But you know what? Yeah, this is my bit, is to say this bit here. And then anybody else goes away and does something with that, it's up to them. So yeah, symbology is gas. I think it seems to be heated gas and cooled gas. And pressurized gas, and it seems to hold a structure, and it seems to hold this memory. And imagine if we were able to take some materials of iron and let's say hydrogen, let's just say these were the maximum, and they survive this too. If they exist in that state for multiple cycles, then why can't you as a vessel? That helps you understand something then, then the vessel needs taking care of. Now, what type? Well, it's very easy for a piece of iron, isn't it? Its needs are very simple compared to a human dynamics and animals and nature. And gas, pretty easy. Yes, it needs some pressure, it needs some of this, it needs some, in order to keep its state. So yeah, humans, perhaps. Be interesting, really. Absolutely fascinating. I wonder what happens if you heat up a black hole in order to be able to mummify it, and also to be able to mummify a star would be to cool it. Just before the point of explosions, you get it in many different fossils, just frozen in that moment, suspended in animation. And also the same with a black hole too. I think we'll be fascinated to see the onion layers if we could cut it in half. What makes you think we didn't? And there again, could this just be a dialed back version of the real thing? And you're just laying somewhere in a torpid situation while this part of you takes center stage of consciousness in order to try and panel you out a bit more, maybe. Who knows? Anyway, right, gonna leave this one here. So, explode, repeat. So yeah, anything with God's behavior, loves, absolutely wicked sense of humor, wouldn't you say so?
Yeah.
You the same one that made flies? Yep. They're so oh, I forgot I made them do that. Made by God, you mean this is how much I piss you off? Come on, you know. You sort of wake up in the middle of the night, and you still missed. Do you know the ones I'm on about?
Yeah, I know.
What do you want? Just checking you're not dead. Fuck, that's brutal. That's what they do, I know. Yeah. I'm pretty sure of it, but you know, I wouldn't do that if I was you, Fly. Why not? Because it might have been a spider drinking out of my mouth, and I might be holding it. But no, just kidding. Still, some people say they do that. Right, I'm going to leave this here. If not, it's going to get weird. But still, yeah. There you are. Listen.